All right, good morning, KW Milwaukee on Tuesday, November 2nd. I hope everybody's having a great start to their November. It's 32 degrees outside. Anyways, I hope everybody's having a great start to your November and that you are thinking ahead because as we know in this business, the activities you do today should show up 90 days later. So 90 days from now, we're where?
My birthday.
Which is what?
February 1st.
February 1st. Okay, so my challenge to you is we're in the first quarter of 2022. And what we know, as we've talked about from the energy dial and the way in which we look at this business is if you don't hit your first quarter, you can't hit your 2022 goals because there's not enough business to be had in the fourth quarter to make up for it. And everybody's going to do business in the second and third quarter. So what I want to do today is I actually dug up an old file that I shared with you guys in February of 2020. Okay, so if you think 90 days out, it's almost a year ago that I shared this information. And the reason why I want to share it today is two reasons. One, a lot of people right now are going through bold. Two, a lot of people are planning through their 2022 strategy and thinking ahead as to how they want to capture business in 2022. And if you want to continue to grow your business, or a lot of people want to double it or triple it or whatever it may be, you have to do things drastically different in order to get there. And so what I want to do is I want to go through the home buyer and home seller profile from Milwaukee, Wisconsin with you again that I shared in February of 2020, because I think there are some nuggets in here that you guys need to be thinking about as it relates to your business if you plan to do things differently in order to grow in 2022. Now, in a few weeks, I'll give you my long take of looking into the magic 8-ball of what I think 2022 will be from a residential real estate perspective and give you kind of where the economy is headed and things like that. But what I want to do this morning is plant some seeds with you to make you think about the way in which you did your business in 2021 and how you may alter your strategy looking ahead to 2022. Okay, so let's take a look at buyers. And again, this is very specific to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is not like macro level national data. This is very micro to Milwaukee. Here's what you need to know about the buyer profile in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And again, this is 2022 data, but I don't expect 2021 to be much different. Okay, what? No, it's 2020 data, and I don't expect 2021 to be any different. Okay, so buyer profile. 41% of all buyers were first-time home buyers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Okay, if you think about your business, I would look back at your sources of information, at your sources of business to understand how many of my buyers were first-time home buyers. If you had less than 41% of your buyer business was first-time home buyers, you're missing an opportunity. Two, the Milwaukee buyer profile is 39 years old. The national average of a buyer profile is 47 years old. So in Milwaukee, we tend to skew a tad younger. We also have a much higher skew from a standpoint of first-time home buyers. Remember, as we've talked about in the past, the demographics of the buyer profile 10 to 20 years ago, the average age of a first-time home buyer was 27 years old. That's creeped up now to 33. So, and the millennial generation, which is the largest generation in the US population, is now coming of age at 33 in the next 3 years. So I'm telling you this because I think people are missing the boat on the opportunities to reach first-time home buyers as you look ahead to 2022 in your business. From a relationship standpoint, 52% of buyers were married couples, 20% were single female, 11% were single male, right? So single female skews higher than single male. I think that tells you a little bit about their either earning potential or intelligence, but I'll let that one sit there. Okay. The desire to own a home was the primary reason. 38% of people, the reason why they purchased a home was because they desired to own a home versus 29% nationally. So what does that tell us? We over-index from those that want to purchase a home within the southeastern Wisconsin market. Now, as it relates to the economics of what we're seeing within southeastern Wisconsin, it still remains really, really strong and a very positive governmental environment, which is why you still see companies jumping borders either between Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois to move into Wisconsin. And that is having an economic impact in our southeastern Wisconsin area. Now, If you take a look at one other little statistics, only 8% of home buyers in Milwaukee were veterans versus 18% nationally. I think really the one thing that I would take away from this isn't that Milwaukee isn't friendly to the military community. It's just we're really far away from the closest military base. So there just isn't the sheer economy of scale from a buyer profile standpoint. Now, if you look at characteristics of the homes purchased, new construction only made up 4% of the total Milwaukee market, where the national average is 15%. My take on that is simply Milwaukee's a very landlocked community. You can't go east with growth, and those communities that are east are very condensed and packed. And so the only way you can move is go west. And with the way in which construction prices and materials and goods have still remained really, really high, I do believe in 2022, new construction will still remain relatively low versus the national average in southeastern Wisconsin. Now, something to point out, guys, and this is something I think that a lot of people get wrong, is the median distance between home purchased and where they move from is only 10 miles away. So a buyer who is buying a home is only moving 10 miles away from where they originally purchased. So my nugget here is you should be thinking about your geographical farms and where you're farming. And if you want to farm, let's say Mequon, for example, and that you're working buyer pools to try and get people into Mequon, you should be tightening your radius to about 10 miles versus the national average of 15. So people move 50% closer distances in Milwaukee than they do on a national average. Okay. So I would be looking at my geographical farms and where I'm farming to pull the buyers from, or if I'm reverse prospecting, right, of where I'm reverse prospecting from in order to find buyers for my listings. Next, buyers expect to live in their homes in Milwaukee for 12 years. The national average of expectation is 15 years, although we know that the data usually tells us 7 to 10 years is when a person's in their home. So for those of you who've been in the business for a long time, what I should be thinking about is, do I have the anniversary of every single closing I've ever done in the last 20 years? And am I being really intentional and purposeful with my follow-up to my clients as they hit the 5-year mark of the home that they are in, to set yourself up to take advantage of the client who potentially will be moving after year 5? Why do 91% of people say that they enjoyed working with their real estate agent? They would use them again, but only 50% end up doing it. There's too many orphans. And our job as an industry has not done a good enough job in the follow-up after year 5. You feel me? So my challenge to you as you're thinking about your database right now in the fall is this. Do you know every single anniversary of your client? And are you being really intentional and purposeful around your follow-up to make sure that your clients aren't orphans and use somebody else in their next transaction? So as it relates to home buyers and their relationship with real estate professionals or real estate agents, here's a few factoids for you. 96% of all buyers were represented through an agent. What does that tell you? Buyers remain highly, highly confident in your fiduciary responsibility to serve them at a high level. Interestingly enough, that number is only 88% nationally. Okay. What I believe about that saying in southeastern Wisconsin is this, is that because the market is so hyper competitive, more so than it is across the country, people are willing to pay for your services to help you navigate a difficult transaction, which in most cases is their largest financial investment on their balance sheet. Okay. So know your worth and understand your worth. Give me one sec. Sorry. Never mind. 2, 45% of all the buyers found their agent via referral. We've talked about how you have 2 tangible assets in this business, your reputation and your database. If you're not investing in your relationship with those who you know, 45% of all buyers found their agent via referral. So they're leveraging the relationship and reputation that you've built through others to attract who they want to work with. 78% of buyers only interviewed one agent during their home search. So if you're not first, you're last. That's the truth. 78% of people only interviewed one agent. How are you getting in front of buyers before they get in front of other people? And 91% would recommend their agent again. Again, if you look at this from a consumer confidence standpoint, 96% of all buyers were represented through an agent, and 91% would recommend them again. Consumers are telling you that you have a value in the marketplace. You should know your value, understand your value, and be able to communicate your value at a very effective level. Now, flipping the script, let's take a look at sellers. Again, the seller profile in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you're thinking about who I want to target to go find more listings in southeastern Wisconsin in 2022, the median age is 45 years old. The most commonly cited reasons for selling, and this is kind of a mixed bag, either home was too small, they moved closer to friends or family, job relocation, or change in family situation. Now, I will also tell you this. There's a stat that I didn't put on the slides. 80% of people, this may be high, so don't quote me on this exact number. I may be stretching the truth slightly. 80% of people move after they have a second child, within 6 months of either before having a second child or after having a second child. So again, knowing your clients in your database and where they are in their life events will help you understand how deep of a relationship you need to be in, and are they on the precipice of making a move or listing their home. Sellers typically lived in their homes for 10 years. Right? 86% of all transactions in southeastern Wisconsin utilized an agent to sell. Again, that's one of the highest metrics we've seen in the last 20 years. What does that tell us? Consumers have a high confidence level in your ability to serve them through a very difficult transaction to maximize the return on their investment of their largest financial asset. Okay? And in the last year, homes only lasted on the market on average for about a week, right? With the national average being 3 weeks. Again, as we've seen in the last 12 months, the deals within southeastern Wisconsin are happening at a very rapid rate. And as we looked through some of the data last week as to where the industry is going from a trends perspective on a week-by-week basis, I very much suspect that spring of 2022 will be somewhat similar to spring of 2021. 68% of sellers were satisfied with the experience. So what does that tell me? I think we have a gap as an industry, a gap in communication and helping people navigate the process, because when people are not satisfied, it's usually because they're unclear of the outcome or they were unaware of what's going on. So communication is key. Now, sellers and their relationships with you as listing agents or real estate professionals, what do you need to know? 72% found their agent via referral from a friend, neighbor, relative, or they had worked with previously. What's your number one most tangible asset? Your reputation. Okay. 80% only contacted one agent. If you're not first, you're last. 80% of people who wanted to sell a home only contacted one agent. It also tells you, one of the things I'll point out, the national average is 75%. So we're 5 points higher in Milwaukee than we are at a local national level. I really take that to believe that it kind of goes to the fabric of the community of people like doing business with people they know or they trust, and referrals are a big piece of that. Now, 99% of all homes were listed on the Metro MLS. You've seen a lot of things. If you read Inman, a lot of people are talking about pocket listings, this, that, and the other. Despite a lot of personal opinions and different things in the way in which Metro MLS operates, the one thing I will give them a ton of credit for is they always make sure that the inventory is available to the agent within our market. And they have really done a nice job at squashing what you would consider to be pocket listings. You're hearing a lot about it across the country because it's a major issue right now in other parts. The Metro MLS here, again, despite what you believe to be some of their policies and procedures, has done a really nice job protecting your ability to serve your clients by making sure that homes are listed on the Metro MLS. Now, Peter Gossman, you can probably quote me at this because I talk to you about it every single time, but here's what you need to know, and I would quote and write this down everywhere, every time you have a deal. The typical seller has referred their agent twice since selling their home. 38% of sellers recommended their agent 3 or more times since selling. If you aren't looking at the business that you did in 2021 and you are not able to correlate another transaction that it is tied to, you missed the boat somewhere on every single listing. Why? Because we know this. All listings have babies. All listings have babies. And if you're not having babies, you're missing on an opportunity. And so I would challenge you as you look back at 2021 and look ahead to 2022 is what was your systematic follow-up in asking for reviews, referrals, and taking advantage of the service that you provided at an extremely high level to ensure that all of your listings have babies. Because the typical seller referred their agent twice since selling their home. And most people, where they make the mistake, is they view that as soon as they get their closing check and the deal is done, that that client is worth nothing to them because they're not buying a home in the next 6 months. And that's the biggest mistake agents can make, because the people that you just served and had a great relationship with and helped them navigate a difficult situation know people that are buying and selling. And on average, they recommend you twice throughout a transaction. So I would challenge you to make sure that all of your listings are having babies, and are you tracking it and being intentional in your approach to ensure that all your listings have babies? So there you go. I wanted to lead with that up front, as we've talked a ton about 2022 business planning, 2022 strategy. And I wanted to lead with that as to really ground the group as to what the demographic profile of buyers and sellers is within Southeastern Wisconsin, to challenge you to think about your business as we sit here on February 1, 2022 today, or February 2nd, right? If we're future pacing 90 days out, to be thinking about your business and what you need to do differently in order for you to grow and take advantage of the market of the moment as we look down 2022 moving ahead. Sound good? I'll send all of this data out to everybody today in the Insights and Resources email, and Diana will be sending it out to the Lake Country crew so that you have this, because my job for you is to challenge the way in which you think, in the way in which you approach this business. Cool? Awesome. Questions, don't hesitate to hit me up. I'm happy to help you think through strategy or the way in which you approach your business. All right, Lindsay Vranick, I'm flipping it over to you for a little Tech Tuesday, because I've seen a little bit of a trend on the Facebook page. Everybody's looking for a referral partner, but no one knows how to find a referral partner in the easiest way possible. So Lindsay, I'm going to flip it to you.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. So we've talked a lot about growing and building your database, but you can do the exact same thing with your referral network. And so there's an actual referrals applet within Command where you can seamlessly track, send and receive referrals all in that one spot. And so there's a couple other things that you can do to really be strategic about finding those referral partners or being that referral partner in the Milwaukee area. And so I'm going to go through a couple of these things that you see on the screen. So viewing referral patterns, I'm going to do that last, actually, broadcasting referral. So I'm actually going to dive in, share my screen, and walk you guys through this super easy process to make your lives easier whenever you need to find a referral partner outside of Milwaukee. So bear with me, guys, while I share my screen.
And while Lindsay sets this up, guys, I would be paying attention to exactly what she's doing, because it amazes me how many times agents miss an opportunity to send a referral to earn an income, or because they don't know how to send a referral, they don't send a referral, and it's a missed opportunity for them.
Okay, so we're in the referrals applet. So this sometimes gets confused with the contact section. So you can always click on this red box here, that red KW box, and then referrals is right here in the middle. So here's my dashboard. This is going to show me any pending referral invites, any received, any that I've sent. I've got my referral network right here. But if you want to send a new referral, it's super easy. All you're going to do is click on this new referral button. So you have the option of either selecting an agent that's already in your referral network. So this list of 7 here that I have, for example. Otherwise, if you need to find somebody, click on Find Agent. This is going to take you directly to this map view. And so right now, I was looking in Arizona earlier this morning. But this should default to your current location. So this would kind of default to Milwaukee, but I'm going to go zoom out and go back over to Milwaukee. I'm just going to click and drag up over here, and I'm going to start zooming in. You'll notice as you zoom in, you're going to start to see some green circles. So this is going to load. And this is going to start populating these green circles. These are each going to indicate a closed listing or buyer transaction. And so on the results over on the right-hand side, these are the agents who have represented those transactions. So let's say I have a family member who's looking to list their house in the Green Bay area. And so I'm going to scroll over up to Green Bay. And let's just say this listing is in De Pere. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit in the De Pere area. And again, I'm going to start to see these green circles. These are all indicating listing and closed transactions, listing and buyer transactions. And then I have my list of agents. So, and again, you can zoom in, zoom out, and then you'll see those results. So I've got 24 results, 24 agents that I can choose from and send this referral to. So I've got two options. I can either broadcast this referral. So anytime you have a list of under 50 agents, you can broadcast the referral and basically send the referral to all 24 agents. And then once somebody responds, or maybe it's the first agent to respond to you, you can then assign that referral out to that particular agent. But I am going to also show you where you can filter. So if you click on this button right to the right of the search results, this is where I can choose, okay, I'm looking for an agent who's closed at least, let's say 10 transactions in the last 12 months. And let's say 3 of those were listings and 7 of those were buyers. So I can apply that filter. And it looks like I already have that filter on. So I wanted to change that. Let's say they've closed 15. And let's say here's 5, and let's just do 10. So apply that filter. Now I've got 17 results. But then you can also click on each individual agent and see more information about them. So closed units in this area, how many listings, how many buy sides, sales volume, all of that information is in here for each agent. So you just click on the little drop down arrow and you'll be able to see that data. Once you're satisfied and you select an agent, you can either add them, this button right here, that little plus that you can barely see, that's going to add them to your referral network. Otherwise, if you click on this button, that's sending that referral. So I'm just going to choose this first agent here, and that's going to add them to this referral request. And at this point, I'm going to finish filling out the rest of this information. So this particular transaction, this is a seller. It defaults to a referral fee of 25%, but you can toggle this back and forth to change that. Same thing with the acceptance deadline. So this agent would have to accept this referral within 24 hours, and you can also change that. You can enter in your price minimum and maximum. You can enter notes. It will say that that message under the notes will be kept confidential until this referral is accepted by the agent. Next is filling in your client information. So the great thing about this is you can either select the client from your database, or you can create a new contact. So if this person isn't already in your database, I can click on this and start entering in their information. And so then I can enter in the client's address. This is the home that they are looking to list, their location, where they're looking to move, the client's phone number, email. But if they're pulling from their database, all of this is going to auto-populate in here. Then all you're going to do is add contact and send, or just send out that, that referral request, and that's it. So again, that agent would have 24 hours to accept the referral request. And from there, all of the communication takes place within Command. You can even create that opportunity from the referral and be able to track that and communicate with that other agent through Command. One other thing, you guys, I talked about referral patterns. And so this is a really great tool that's part of Command. It's actually directly on this map view right here. So this is going to allow you to actually visualize where the majority of referrals are being sent and received on a city by city basis. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on this drop-down menu and choose referral patterns. And so this is actually going to show me any referrals that are being sent into our city or market center and received. And so you can see here, I've got these two little buttons here. I can either toggle back from any sent referrals and then received. So if you want to be strategic about building your referral network within Command, go ahead and go into this map section, click down into referral patterns and click on received. This is going to show you the top 20 results for the cities that are being sent, the referrals from cities that are going to send those referrals to you. So you can see we're getting a lot of referrals from Arizona. So think about reaching out to particular agents in Tucson or Scottsdale and connecting with them and adding them to your referral network. Start in those cities. Be strategic about it. You'll also see, obviously, we've got some more local cities, Madison, Chicago, De Pere, Monona. Reach out to agents in those cities and start building that referral network. And then you can always start strategically communicating with those agents through smart plans, just like you do so with your database, but building that referral network and really utilizing this and being a resource to those agents that you're adding to your referral network. So you guys, tax training is all about this entire applet is referrals, sending referrals, receiving referrals. How do you broadcast referrals? How do you utilize the referral patterns? So that is what tech workshops are all about this week. If you want to learn more, please feel free to drop into one of the 3 market centers, either today in Tosa, tomorrow at North Shore or Lake Country on Thursday.
So guys, I'll just give an anecdotal piece of evidence here. I had a friend who wanted to sell their home in Naperville, Illinois. He didn't know any agents down in Naperville. So he contacted me and said, hey, you must know someone in Naperville. I didn't actually know anybody in Naperville. So what I did was I went to the referral network. I looked within the neighborhood he was within. I knew that he told me that he believed his home was worth about $450K. I then filtered to the agents that I wanted to make sure that the average price point that the agents who were listing homes within that neighborhood were above $350K, because I didn't want maybe potentially an agent who didn't know the area to list the home. It filtered down to 6 agents. I broadcasted the referral to 6 agents, all 6 agents. I chose the one who accepted it in the fastest amount of time. And it was the most communicative referral I have ever given out in my entire life. And the reason being was I trusted that person who was paying attention to their database and their network that says, hey, you have someone who's pinging you to sell a home in Naperville. And it was incredible. And I never met this woman before, and she was fantastic. My point being is we see a lot of things of people saying, hey, I need a Stevens Point agent, or hey, I need an agent in, like, I don't know, the Lake of Ozarks in Missouri. The chances are very slim that any of us in our local network know the best agent in the Ozarks of Missouri. However, the data, leveraging the data that you have available to you at your fingertips through Command can help you find the best agent for your client from a referral standpoint. And there's a lot of people who are missing out at the opportunity at mailbox money because they just say, oh, I don't know Tucson, I don't know Ozarks, whatever. Well, do a little research and you can earn your keep as it relates to sending out referrals. And it's a great platform that is totally underutilized by this group. So, Lindsay, thanks for sharing that with the group.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, we're jumping back into it. And next up, we have the sheriff, Mrs. Joni Reed. Sheriff Reed, what do these guys need to know around as-is listings and property disclosures for buyers and sellers?
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I dug into this. It was actually something that came up on the hot tip library, and it rang true to some of the calls I've been getting. And we have, I have questions coming from you, our agents, about what do I do if this listing says as is? Does this mean I can have an inspection? You know, do I have the protection of all of that? So I decided to just sort of collect some of this information and put it out today. If you are a buyer's agent and your buyer is looking at a property that is as is, I want you to remember the important things. That means you, the buyer's agent, and the buyer are responsible for determining the condition of the property. Obviously, the seller doesn't want to have anything to do with that. So a good inspection is very important. Yes, you have the right to have an inspection and as is, and you really should get your best recommended inspector to do this. You don't want to give the seller right to cure because they're already saying, because it's as is, they're not going to cure anything. So a buyer then can also use the protection of the inspection contingency to send a notice of defect if the scope of defects is beyond what the buyer wants to take on. So they still have that right to send a notice of defect in an as-is property. And that's usually the biggest question that I get regarding the as-is properties. One thing that is important, make sure that when the seller does not have the right to cure and you're sending the notice of defect, you send the camera right along with it. You still have to send the inspection report to the seller, whether they're going to do anything about it or not. So you're going to have situations, whether it's a property that a seller that's in a trust or a personal representative or something in that sense where the actual seller is not representing the property. A lot of times those properties are in as-is condition, because if you have a personal rep, he's never lived there and has nothing to do with the condition of the house. And they also are not required to fill out the property condition report. However, if there is a seller, say the seller hasn't lived in the house for a long time, and yet they are still required to fill out the real estate condition report. If they're the seller, they have to fill out the condition report. That's a state law. That's a Wisconsin state law, not a real estate law. But there are some cases where the seller says, I don't want to fill out the property condition report. I haven't lived there in 12 years. I've had it rented. It's been sitting vacant, whatever. I don't want to be liable for what's been going on in that property. So I refuse to fill out the property condition report. Well, there is a form for that. And it states seller's refusal or statement regarding condition. This is if the seller is required to fill it out, but does not want to do so. I've had 2 listings in the past where I had a seller fill this out. It didn't raise any big red flags or anything because it was easily explained. They haven't lived there in a long time. They don't want to be liable for conditions that they are not aware of. So if they refuse to fill out the condition report, or if they're not required to fill out the condition report, this is probably the most important thing to remember in these situations. You, the licensee, are still required to perform reasonably competent property inspection, and you, the licensee, are required to disclose any material adverse facts, even if it's a as-is property or in a property in a trust or anything. So your responsibility doesn't go away in these situations. And this is probably the most important thing because there have been quite a few issues over this, not in our firm, but in other firms that lawsuits have been brought in where the licensee thinks they didn't have to disclose material adverse facts because it was being sold in as is. So that's probably the most important part on this slide. And there is a form for that. This is the form for the refusal. It gives a lot of information for you or the seller to fill out, and the reason why they are refusing to fill it out, if they're required to or if they're not required to. But the disclosure form, which is the next one, this is if you, the licensee, are aware, see anything that is a material adverse fact in the property and the seller is selling it as is, does not want to disclose anything, you, the licensee, are required to do so. And there are blank lines in this form for you to list what the material adverse facts are. And the definition of a material adverse fact is right there on the form. Doesn't make for a friendly relationship sometimes with your seller when you're disclosing something they don't want to disclose, but it is a requirement of your license. Please call me or Steph when you have any of these situations come up and you're not sure how to proceed. The other kind of inspections that we're getting a lot lately are the buyer wanting to do an inspection just for information only. There are some things that you have to remember specifically if your buyer wants to do so. Make sure that the details on this inspection only and for information only inspection are clear in the offer, because if not, it's going to cause some mistakes or issues or delay of closing or lawyers at the end. Some of these details are you have to have in your offer. If it's an information only inspection, you must put in there some sort of permission to be able to enter the property with an inspector. That should be specifically asked for. You just can't say information only inspection and then assume that you and an inspector can waltz in there. You do not mark inspection contingency on the offer. You make it clear who will be inspecting and by what date it's going to be done, and state that again in the offer that it's for information purposes only and does not constitute an inspection contingency. It seems very redundant to go through all these details, but the assumption, the implications, the consequences of not being specific end up in a lot of argument before closing. Buyer is aware when they're doing that they are not, there will be no remedy if defects are found. They can get out of the contract, but there's no way the defects can be remedied. That's it.
Sheriff Reed, thank you. Guys, what you always have to hear in the back of my head when Joan and I or Steph get these situations that people don't understand either the buyers don't understand where they currently sit within the transaction, or the sellers are, maybe did something wrong, is, and I will air quote this, there will be lawyers, which is the worst phrase you can hear as a real estate agent, that you have to get attorneys involved. So again, being forthright in your communication up front as it relates to as-is properties or information-only inspections, to making sure that we're right-sizing buyer expectations are very important, because attorneys get expensive and attorneys put your license at risk because they are looking to put the blame on somebody. So Joni, thank you for recapping this. And again, every week when we recap stuff from compliance, I get it is not the most entertaining or exciting topic, but really? It's because, yeah, it is things that Joni, Steph, and I are seeing on a routine basis to make sure that we're bringing up to the group to make sure you're paying attention to it. So Joni, thank you.
Great, thanks.
Guys, one other thing last night around 5 o'clock, if you have not renewed your GMAR renewals, which is about half of the total KW Milwaukee agent population, those are due in the next 28 days. We got a lot of responses of people who had sent them in within the last couple days. Totally cool. If you missed the October 31st deadline, this just cost you more money. If you missed the November 30th deadline, it's going to cost you more money. And if you missed the end of the year deadline, it's going to cost you close to $300. So don't miss the deadline. Make sure you're getting your renewals in. And then if you'd please forward your confirmation on to Joan or Steph so that we can make sure that we're tracking to ensure that your license remains active heading into 2022. Yes, Joni, some questions for you as it relates to Kathy Popovich asked Joni, how does a buyer get out of an information-only inspection? There will be lawyers.
It would be an amendment. Both parties would have to agree that they're just not going to have an inspection. And a lot of times that's a good situation because the lender might take issue with this information-only inspection. But an amendment signed by both parties will eliminate that.
Yeah, Joni, one other question for you. It came from Jay Schmidt. His question was, if an inspection is information only, why not do it after the buyer's close? Why would the seller ever allow it?
Yeah, I can't imagine many sellers wanting to allow it either, but more people were thinking they were not going to have an inspection contingency to make their offer more competitive, but they would have one for information only. I don't think it works, and I don't think it's really something that any seller would want to do, but some people were trying it, and what happens is they do find a defect, and then they're going, yikes, because there's no contingency part of that to help them.
Right. Awesome. I think those are the two questions from the topic. Thanks, Joni.
Good. Thank you.
Awesome, guys. We'll wrap it up. Upcoming training events. What do these guys need to be paying attention to as we look down November and things that are coming up?
Good morning. It is the first week in November. We have such a great calendar for you guys this month. Coming up, we have Business Planning Clinic with Callie Adler. So Charlie talked a lot about your roadmap for 2022. If it's not lined out, written down, and paved for you, how will you get there? Right. So today at 10:30 in launch coaching, Callie will be with us for that group. And then also Wednesday, tomorrow at 10 a.m., Callie will be available on Zoom to do a business planning clinic by the numbers. If you're interested, you should have received a spreadsheet to work alongside with her. If you have not received that, please reach out to me.
It's a great activity to help you understand your conversion rates and sources of business. If you're looking to diversify your business in 2022 for growth, because if you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah. What else do you got?
Yeah, go ahead. So next slide. So business planning with Callie tomorrow. And then also later this month, on the 10th, we have John Lorenz. He will be live in person in the Lake Country office with coffee being sponsored. And then he's going to be talking about the non-technical side of real estate. So we've done a lot of technical type of trainings between our business planning clinics, a lot of, know your numbers. And John's going to have a conversation with us about some of the more relationship-based pieces of real estate.
He's a great one to learn from. He's doubled his business in 2021.
And then later this month on the 17th in the afternoon, we have a MAPS Mastery coaching panel. We have some agents around the Milwaukee area that are in mastery and breakthrough coaching with MAPS. So if you've ever wondered whether or not MAPS coaching is right for you in your business, please attend our panel and get your questions answered.
Sweet.
And then guys, save the date. We're running Ignite 2.0. It's going to be a little bit different than the original Ignite content. We're going to start it right after the holidays on January 10th. So save the date. More information to come.
Cool. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I want you to write something down. Friday, December 3rd, the biggest party of the year, which typically I'll reserve commentary of some of the things that you see on the dance floor. But Friday, December 3rd, it is the Friday immediately following Thanksgiving. We will have the KW Milwaukee Holiday Extravaganza. This year, we are hosting it at Punch Bowl Social, renting out the entire second floor with tons of activities, a huge space to allow everybody to spread out. There will be a DJ and dancing for many of you who have seen the dance floor gets pretty rowdy. But it's a great event and we're looking forward to it. So I just want to throw that out there. Save the date to Friday night, December 3rd, starting at 6 p.m. is the KW Milwaukee holiday party, which is after a 1-year hiatus. This event is just the North Shore, Tosa, and Lake Country crew simply because of the sheer size and scale and scope of the organization now. So save the date, Friday, December 3rd, Punch Bowl Social in downtown Milwaukee, right across the street from where we had hosted it in the past. Next up, also from November 1st through December 10th, all 3 locations across North Shore, Tosa, and Lake Country, we are going to be hosting Toys for Tots collection. So please, if this is something that speaks to you as we look down the holiday season, or you want to leverage it for an opportunity to connect with your database, to use it as a lead generation opportunity, your clients or you are welcome to bring in new or gently used toys unwrapped into the market centers, and we will be collecting them for Toys for Tots this holiday season, November 1st through December 10th. And then lastly, guys, last week you received a survey from Energage, which is a third-party company around the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Top Workplaces survey. Again, Keller Williams Milwaukee is in the running again for the 7th straight year. We would love and appreciate your input and opinion, whether you love us or you think we have some work to do. We love feedback either way. It's totally confidential. Feedback is a gift, and we are always seeking it in ways in which we can do or serve you guys at a higher level. And that is what we have for you on Tuesday, November 2nd. Guys, I'll make sure to send out the buyer profile as well as the seller profile information for Milwaukee, Wisconsin, along with some of the other information that Joni presented today around as is and information-only inspections. If you need referral partners, let's learn how to use the referral platform. It's a great way to do it. Lake Country Crew, I'll let you jump over to the Lake Country Meetup. North Shore and Tosa Crew, I will switch over to new listings and buyer needs. Guys, have a phenomenal week. Make it great. And we'll also see you on Bold on Thursday. Guys, thanks for jumping on.